A roaring fire doesn't fear the wind. It only grows stronger in its presence. They thought they had you cornered, ready to watch you crumble under the weight of their deception. They built traps of manipulation, spun webs of lies, and sharpened their tongues, thinking they had control over your mind. They studied your weaknesses, desperate to find the one crack that would make you shatter. But instead of breaking, you stood still, unshaken, unmoved, and that terrified them. Your silence was a hammer smashing their illusions. Your calm was a storm they never saw coming. They expected rage, they expected tears, they expected you to drown in their poison. But you gave them nothing. And now the ones who sought to break you are the ones breaking. Before we continue, if this message speaks to your soul, press the like button under this video. When you engage, it tells YouTube that this wisdom must reach more of the chosen ones, those walking the path of power and truth. Spread this message so more of us awaken. You see, the power of the chosen is not in brute force, not in loud retaliation, but in something far deadlier, unshakable composure. It haunts them. It lingers in their minds long after they've tried to destroy you. They replay your lack of reaction over and over, trying to decode a mystery they were never meant to understand. They whisper your name in frustration, trying to grasp why their usual tactics failed. They fear you, not because you fought back, but because you refused to play their game. A true warrior doesn't swing recklessly at every opponent. The greatest warriors know when to strike and when to simply stand still and let the enemy destroy themselves. That's what you did, and that's why they can't stop thinking about you. You didn't need to argue, plead, or prove a point. Your very existence was enough to dismantle them. Your energy is so powerful that even when you do nothing, it sends shockwaves through their soul. That's the mark of the chosen. They wanted to control your emotions, to see you react, to feed off your pain. But instead, they were left starving, choking on the emptiness of their own games. You became the mirror that reflected back their own darkness. And now, they can't escape it. Your silence wasn't weakness. It was the loudest statement of all. It was a declaration that you are untouchable, beyond their reach. And now, they are the ones tormented, obsessing over why they couldn't break you. They are hooked on the enigma of your strength. They say the strongest storms make the deepest roots. And you've become an unshakable force, a living testament that the chosen ones don't fall, they rise. So tell me, chosen one, are you ready to step deeper into this power that leaves them restless, obsessing over how you slipped through their grasp? Drop the number 77 in the comments if you felt that eerie silence after you refused to engage, when they realized they never had control over you. That moment when their game fell apart before their eyes. And now, let's break it down, step by step. If you are truly chosen, you'll feel it. You'll know you need to stay till the very end. Because once you see this truth, there's no going back. Let's begin. Number 1. They dug the pit and fell right into it. The hunter who digs a pit too deep forgets. He may be the one to fall in. They schemed, plotted, and laid their traps with precision, believing they had you figured out. Every insult, every whisper behind your back, every carefully placed deception, it was all part of a grand setup, a performance designed to provoke a reaction. They needed you to break, to lash out, to lose control so they could twist the narrative and point their fingers at you. But instead of walking into their web, you stood still, watching, observing, unmoved. And now, the ones who set the trap are the ones tangled in it. Their entire existence depends on control. Control over your emotions, your reactions, your energy. Without it, they are nothing. Without your response, their carefully crafted illusion collapses. They wanted you to rage, to explain yourself, to fight for a seat at a table where you were never welcome. But you chose a different path. You gave them silence. And now they are spiraling, suffocating in their own chaos, haunted by the realization that they never had power over you to begin with. They played with fire, but the flames refused to burn you, so now they're the ones getting consumed. They thought they were playing a simple game of manipulation, a little push and pull to keep you under their thumb. But what they didn't realize is that they weren't just toying with you. They were playing against something far greater. They were trying to rewrite a script that was never theirs to edit. You see, when the chosen ones walk this earth, the universe itself aligns in their favor. Every time they tried to sabotage you, they were unknowingly stepping into a battlefield they could never win. They were wrestling with something beyond their comprehension, fighting against a force that has already sealed your victory. That's the terrifying truth they now face. They weren't just going against you. They were going against the divine timing that protects you, the unseen energy that moves mountains in your favor. And now, all their plotting and scheming has done nothing but turn back on them like a curse. And yet, even now, some of you doubt. Some of you still ask, why does this keep happening to me? Stop. Stop questioning your power. Stop wondering why they target you, why you keep facing opposition, why the road feels lonely at times. It's because you're chosen, and the chosen ones will always be tested. Diamonds don't fear pressure. Gold doesn't complain about the fire that purifies it. Every challenge, every betrayal, every attempt to break you, it's all part of the refining process. The weak would have crumbled under the weight of what you've endured. But look at you. You're still standing, stronger, sharper, wiser. But let's be honest, there was a time when you gave them exactly what they wanted. When you reacted, when you fought battles that weren't even worth your energy, when you tried to explain yourself to those who never cared about understanding you. And what did it get you? Nothing but exhaustion. Nothing but disappointment. Now, you move differently. Now, you understand that silence is a weapon sharper than any blade. Now, you watch them unravel, losing sleep over the fact that they can no longer access your energy, because that's what really scares them. Not your anger, not your words, not even your strength. No, what shakes them to their core is your absence. Your absence is a mirror, and when they look into it, they don't see you anymore. They see themselves, their flaws, their darkness, the emptiness they tried to fill by feeding off your light, and they can't handle it. They played the game thinking they could control you, but now they're trapped in an endless loop, trying to figure out how they lost. Because the truth is, they never had you. And now they're addicted to the mystery of your calm. They can't stop thinking about you, can't stop trying to understand how you slipped through their fingers, how you stood there, unmoved, while they unraveled before you. But it's too late. You've already left the battlefield. You've already walked away, leaving them lost in the war they started, but could never win. And that's why they'll never forget you. Number 2, they craved the power. Now they're starving without it. A fool only realizes the value of water when the well has run dry. They thought they had an endless supply, a never-ending flow of your attention, your energy, your presence. You were their comfort, their escape, their secret source of validation, and they took it all for granted, believing they could drain you forever without consequence. But something shifted. The flow stopped. And now they're starving. At first, they denied it. They put on a show, laughing louder, posting more, surrounding themselves with noise to drown out the silence you left behind. They convinced themselves they didn't care, that your absence meant nothing. But that was the mask. And masks always crack under pressure. Because the truth? It's suffocating them. They were feeding off you, and they didn't even realize it. Your kindness was their security blanket. Your patience was their refuge. And your energy, it was their drug. They were addicted to you in ways they never admitted. And now that the supply is cut off, withdrawal is setting in. And withdrawal is painful. The nights get heavier. The thoughts creep in like ghosts, whispering regrets they can no longer ignore. They underestimated you, assumed you would always be there, always giving, always available. They thought you needed them more than they needed you, but they were wrong. You walked away, and your silence. It's louder than any argument, sharper than any words you could have spoken. It echoes in the spaces where your energy used to be, a void they can't seem to fill. They search for replacements, new people, new distractions, anything to numb the sting of losing you. But nothing works, because no one else is you. And the worst part? Watching you thrive without them. That's a karma they never expected. They thought losing you would break you, but instead, it freed you. You're not just gone, you're glowing, elevating, rising in ways they never saw coming. And that's what haunts them the most. They thought they were the reason you shined, but now they're choking on the proof that you were the light all along. Now they're left in the emptiness they created, trapped in the very loneliness they once tried to use against you. They stare at the door they once slammed shut, hoping, praying, you'll come back through it. But you won't, because the chosen don't chase. The chosen don't beg. The chosen rise. And now they're hooked on a ghost. Number 3. Their ego can't handle losing you, so they set the trap again. A snake never sheds its skin to become a new creature. It only grows into a bigger snake. Now they miss you. Now they suddenly realize your worth. Now they sit with the weight of what they lost. But don't be fooled. This isn't love. This isn't growth. This is panic. Because losing you wasn't supposed to happen. You were supposed to stay trapped in their cycle, feeding their ego, reacting to their games. You were supposed to be predictable, stuck in an endless loop of proving yourself, chasing, explaining. But you broke free. And that's something their ego never prepared for. So now, they plot. It starts small, a like on your post, a random message asking how you've been, a mutual friend suddenly bringing them up, testing the waters for them. These are not coincidences. These are calculated moves, an attempt to plant seeds of doubt, to see if they can still access your energy. But make no mistake, this isn't about making things right. This isn't about regret. This is about control. Because nothing haunts a manipulator more than an unbothered chosen one. They don't like that you're glowing without them. They don't like that their absence didn't break you. They don't like that you've reclaimed your power and walked away without looking back. And now, their ego is screaming. Because if you're really done with them, truly, permanently done, then they have to face something their pride won't allow. They lost. And that realization eats them alive. So what do? They scheme, they strategize, they bait the trap all over again. Maybe they play the victim, acting as if they've changed and hoping you'll fall for the illusion. Maybe they stir up drama, hoping to force a reaction out of you. Maybe they suddenly need closure, when in reality, they just need a way back in. But here's the raw truth. If they truly valued you, they never would have put you in a position to walk away in the first place. They knew what they were doing. They just didn't think you'd ever leave. They thought you would keep playing their game forever. But the moment you stopped participating, the moment you chose silence over chaos, peace over manipulation, growth over stagnation, that's when they lost all power over you. And now they're desperate, because you were never just another option to them. You were the one thing that gave them a false sense of control. And without you, they are powerless. Number 4, the final test. Will you break the cycle or be pulled back in? A caged bird doesn't sing because it's happy. It sings because it longs for freedom. And once it escapes, only a fool would return to the cage. Just because they regret losing you does not mean they've changed. Regret is not transformation. Regret is not growth. Regret is simply the realization that they lost their grip on you. This is a test, a trap, a cycle waiting to repeat itself. And the question is, will you fall for it? Your growth has exposed them. The silence you mastered, the self-respect you reclaimed, the way you removed yourself from their chaos. It all speaks louder than any apology they could ever fake. It's all working against them now. They never thought you'd actually leave. They never thought you'd rise without them. But here you are, untouchable, out of reach, moving in a way they can't predict or control. And that is driving them insane. For so long, they twisted the story. They painted you as the problem. They needed to believe you were the unstable one, the overreactor, the one who was too emotional, too sensitive, too much. They convinced themselves, and maybe even others, that they were justified in their treatment of you. And for a time, they believed their own lies. But then, you disappeared. And suddenly, the same chaos, the same toxic cycles, the same destructive behaviors didn't leave with you. The dysfunction is still there, lingering, poisoning everything they touch. And for the first time, with no scapegoat to blame, they are forced to face the one thing they never wanted to admit. It was never you. It was always them. But accepting that requires growth. That requires healing. That requires accountability. And these types, they don't do accountability. They don't do self-reflection. They don't do change. They do control. They do manipulation. They do cycles. And now that they've lost control over you, they'll do anything to pull you back in. They might come back playing the victim, acting as if they've finally seen the light. They might start mirroring you, pretending to be the version of themselves they think you want, saying all the right words, promising they've changed. Or maybe they take the opposite approach. Maybe they stir the pot, baiting you with drama, hoping to get any reaction just to remind themselves they still matter to you. Because to them, attention, good or bad, is still control. But don't fall for it. A lesson will repeat itself until it's learned. And this is your final test. Will you break the cycle, or will you let them pull you back into a game you were never meant to play? Number 5. Drowning in their own karma, the price of losing you. You never realize how much someone was holding you up until you feel yourself sinking without them. That realization is unbearable. It gnaws at them, twists their thoughts, keeps them awake at night. It was never you. It was always them. But admitting that? Impossible. Their ego won't allow it. Their pride won't let them sit with the truth. So instead, they lash out. They scramble to rewrite the narrative. They insert your name into conversations that have nothing to do with you, hoping to distort the story in their favor. They reach out to mutual connections, subtly fishing for details. How you're doing, if you still care, if you're still thinking about them. Because the truth, they can't handle the idea that you're truly over it, that you walked away and never looked back, that you're thriving in a way they never expected, that their absence didn't break you, it built you. And the more you win in silence, the more they unravel. Your growth is like a mirror, forcing them to see themselves clearly for the first time. And they hate what they see. The emptiness, the insecurity, the flaws they spent years projecting onto you. They convinced themselves that you were the unstable one, that you were too much, that you were the one who needed them. But now, they're choking on the truth, because for the first time, they see it. You weren't the problem. You were the only thing keeping them afloat. You were the glue holding together their fragile ego, the distraction keeping them from facing their own demons. And now they're sinking. They thought they could discard you and keep moving like nothing happened, but they underestimated you. They thought you would crawl back, but instead you rose. You became untouchable, and the weight of their own actions, it's finally crushing them. Some lessons can only be learned through loss, and losing you, that was the hardest lesson of all. Number 6, the obsession. They can't escape. Why they can't stop watching you. The one who thought they owned the game now sits on the sidelines, watching the player they once tried to control. They thought they had you figured out, thought they could discard you and move on like you never mattered, believed they could replace you, erase you, pretend you were just another moment in time. But reality has a way of humbling the arrogant. And now they're watching you from the shadows, from fake accounts, through whispers and second-hand updates. Because no matter how much they try to act indifferent, no matter how loudly they pretend to be over it, the truth lingers like an echo they can't ignore. They can't escape you. They check your social media, hoping for a glimpse into your world, hoping to see some sign that you still care, still think about them, still hurt the way they expected you to. They stalk in silence, scrolling through your posts, analyzing your words, searching for a trace of themselves in your new life. They watch your wins, your glow, your peace, and each time it chips away at them. Because this wasn't supposed to happen. You weren't supposed to rise without them. They thought their absence would break you. They convinced themselves that you would struggle without their validation, that you would fold under the weight of being alone. But instead, you flourished. You became untouchable. And that haunts them more than anything. They reach out through mutual connections, subtly fishing for information, trying to gauge if you still care. They ask around, pretending it's just casual curiosity, but their intent is clear. They need to know. Because the thought of you moving forward without a second glance in their direction is unbearable. Their ego demands that they still matter to you, but your silence screams the truth. They don't. And the more you ignore them, the more they obsess. Every step forward you take, every level up, every moment of happiness they weren't prepared for magnifies their failure. They see you thriving, at peace, glowing in a way they never expected, and it gnaws at them. They start to realize something devastating. They were never as important as they believed themselves to be. The game they played was built on control, on the illusion that you needed them. But now the script has flipped. Now they're the ones caught in the cycle, trapped in an obsession they can't escape, reliving the loss over and over, unable to accept that they lost someone irreplaceable. They might try to downplay it. They might act like they're fine, like they don't care, like they've moved on. But actions speak louder than words, and their obsession with you tells the real story. They let go of something rare, and now they spend their days watching someone else appreciate what they lost. But it's too late. You've already closed the door, and now they are left standing on the outside, watching a life they'll never have access to again. Number 7. Your growth is their worst nightmare. They never feared losing you. They feared seeing you win without them. They expected you to crumble, thought you would fall apart, lost and desperate, searching for pieces of yourself in the wreckage they left behind. They imagined you stuck, trapped in the past, drowning in regret, while they moved forward without a care. But what they never accounted for, what they never could have predicted, was your glow-up. You didn't break. You built. You took every wound they left, every insult, every doubt they planted, and turned it into fuel. While they sat back, waiting for your downfall, you rose. And now, with every win, with every moment of peace they can't touch, with every new level you step into, you are proving a truth they never wanted to face. It was never you. Deep down, they know it now. They see it in the way you move, in the strength you've reclaimed, in the power you now walk in. The very person they tried to diminish, the light they tried to snuff out, is now blindingly untouchable. And that is their worst nightmare. Because their whole illusion was built on the belief that they were the best you'd ever have, that without them you would struggle, that they were somehow the source of your worth, your happiness, your success. But your glow-up shattered that delusion. Now they see the truth. They were never the reason you shined. In fact, they were the weight you had to drop in order to rise higher. And nothing stings their ego more than watching you thrive in a reality where they no longer exist. They don't want to admit it, but they feel it. That sharp, bitter realization that they weren't the prize, that they weren't special, that they weren't as irreplaceable as they once believed. And now, as they sit on the sidelines, watching you become everything they swore you never could be, they are faced with a truth they can't run from. They lost someone rare, and you lost dead weight. They might act unbothered. They might put on a show, pretending your success doesn't affect them. But that's just their pride talking, because inside they're battling the harsh reality that you won. You didn't just move on, you leveled up. You became everything they tried to convince you that you weren't. And that's why they can't stop watching, can't stop obsessing, can't stop hating the fact that you never needed them to begin with. They wanted you broken. Instead, you became a masterpiece. Number 8. Their karma is watching you become everything they couldn't be. Some losses don't feel real until the person you underestimated becomes everything you secretly wished you could be. Life has a way of balancing the scales. What they thought they could get away with, what they assumed had no consequences, is now crashing down on them in the most brutal way possible. They have to watch you win. While they remain trapped in the same toxic cycles, making the same mistakes, running in place with nowhere to go, you're rising, elevating, becoming something greater than they ever imagined. And the cruelest part? They no longer have access to you. They had their chance. They had your loyalty, your love, your presence, but they mistook it for permanence. They thought they could manipulate, betray, and sabotage, and that you would always be there, always forgiving, always waiting for them to change. But you weren't meant to stay in their world. You were meant to outgrow it. And that's their karma. Because now they are stuck watching from the outside, trapped in a reality they once controlled, only to realize the real prize was never them. It was you. They thought they were ahead, thought they had you right where they wanted you. But look at them now, still circling the same problems, still feeding the same empty ego, still surrounded by people who only reflect their own brokenness. And then there's you, moving differently, thinking differently, walking into rooms they were never meant to enter, becoming something they never had the discipline to become. It burns them, because deep down they know they didn't deserve you. They know they weren't meant to grow with you. They know they were the ones holding you back. And now they have to live with the painful truth that the best thing they ever had walked away and never looked back. They wanted to see you fail, wanted to hear that you were struggling, wanted confirmation that you were lost without them. But the universe doesn't reward selfishness. It doesn't bless those who take advantage of others. It doesn't elevate those who refuse to grow. And so, while you rise, they remain exactly where they were, watching from a distance, stuck in their own patterns, knowing they'll never get close to you again. Some people don't get the closure they want. Instead, they get the karma they deserve. Number 9. The more you ignore them, the louder they get. A desperate fool will scream into the void, hoping the echo brings them back what they lost. Silence is a weapon they never prepared for. They expected anger, tears, explanations, something, anything that would keep them tied to your energy. But when you walked away without a word, without a fight, without looking back, it sent them into a spiral. Because now they are faced with something they never thought they'd experience: your absence. And that silence, it's deafening. The more you refuse to engage, the more desperate they become. They can't stand that they no longer have access to your emotions, no longer have the ability to push your buttons, twist your words, manipulate your mind. So, they do what desperate people do. They lash out. They start small, subtle jabs, indirect posts, throwing shade in conversations. But when that doesn't work, when they realize you truly don't care, they turn up the volume. They create drama, hoping to lure you back in. They spread rumors, twisting reality to fit their narrative. They try to provoke you, thinking that if they can just get you to react, even in anger, it means they still matter to you. But you don't react, because the chosen don't engage. The chosen walk away. And that drives them insane. They feed off attention. Whether it's love, hate, admiration, or rage, it doesn't matter, as long as it comes from you. But now, they are starving. Your silence is forcing them to sit alone with their own thoughts, their own insecurities, their own reflection in a mirror they can't shatter. And they hate it. They want you to break the silence, to defend yourself, to fight back, to prove that they still exist in your world. But what they fail to realize is that by ignoring them, you've already won. Because silence isn't just absence, it's power. The moment you refuse to play their game, the game falls apart. The moment you stop giving them energy, they lose all control. And that's why they scream louder, trying to claw their way back into your mind. But the difference between you and them, you don't need to be heard, because the chosen don't need to prove their strength. They simply live it. And the ones who once thought they held power over you, now they're the ones trapped in the noise of their own desperation. When they realize you're no longer listening, they'll scream until they lose their own voice. And even then, you still won't turn back. Number 10. Why you're never looking back. A bridge burned is a lesson learned. Some roads are never meant to be walked twice. There's no going back. Not now, not ever. You've seen too much, felt too much, learned too much to make the mistake of retracing your steps. Because the truth is, once someone has shown you who they really are, once they have revealed their true intentions, their selfish nature, their capacity for deception and destruction, you can never unsee it. And that's why this is the final goodbye. They thought they had an unlimited number of chances, that you would always be there, always forgiving, always willing to believe in the version of them they pretended to be. But their greatest mistake was underestimating your ability to outgrow them. You're not the same person you were when they met you. Back then, you might have given them excuses, justified their behavior, told yourself they didn't really mean to hurt you. You might have held on longer than you should have, thinking love, loyalty, or patience could change them. But now you see the truth with crystal clarity. They never deserved you. Because people who truly value you don't play games with your heart, your mind, or your soul. They don't manipulate, betray, or lie, expecting you to just accept it. They don't drain your energy, sabotage your growth, or leave you questioning your own worth. And yet, that's exactly what they did, over and over again. They put you through cycles of chaos, pulling you in just to push you away, making you question reality, making you doubt yourself. And for too long, you danced to their tune, playing a game you never signed up for. Until one day, something inside you snapped. It wasn't just anger. It wasn't just frustration. It was clarity. The moment you truly saw them for who they were, the illusion shattered. And once the illusion is gone, there's nothing left to hold on to. That's why there's no looking back. They will try, of course. They always do. They will send their signals, their breadcrumbs, their half-hearted attempts to reconnect. Maybe they'll play the victim, pretending they've changed. Maybe they'll try to stir up drama just to get a reaction out of you. Maybe they'll act like nothing ever happened, hoping you'll fall back into old patterns. But none of it matters anymore, because you've moved beyond their reach. They can no longer trigger you the way they used to. Their words no longer hold weight. Their presence no longer affects your peace. And that is their real punishment. Because this time, they lost you for good. That's the karma they never saw coming. They thought they could mistreat you and still have access to you, that they could damage you and still be part of your future. But life doesn't work that way. You don't get to keep a chosen one, once you've proven that you were never worthy of them. And now, they'll have to live with that. They will have to watch from a distance as you become everything they doubted you could be. They will have to accept that they are no longer welcome in your world. They will have to sit with the reality that you were the prize all along. And no matter how much they regret, no matter how much they wish they could undo the damage, it's too late. Because the final goodbye isn't just about leaving. It's about never being available to them again. It's about reclaiming your energy, your peace, your future. It's about making the permanent decision that you will never again allow yourself to be disrespected, undervalued, or mistreated. It's about stepping fully into your power and never looking back. They lost you when they thought you would always stay. And now, the door they once slammed shut is locked forever. Number 11. The final realization and their downfall. The truth has a way of revealing itself, no matter how many lies try to cover it. The people around them are starting to notice the cracks. The same friends, family members, and bystanders who once blindly believed their version of events are beginning to see the truth, the charm, the manipulations, the twisted stories they spun to make themselves look like the victim. It's all falling apart. Because without you to carry the blame, without you there to be the scapegoat, the deception no longer holds up. Their mask is slipping. Their inconsistencies are catching up to them. The stories they once told with so much confidence now sound hollow, full of holes they can't patch up. The image they worked so hard to maintain is crumbling. And worst of all, they know it. They feel the shift, the uneasy glances from the people who once defended them, the hesitation in conversations that used to flow so easily. The weight of their own actions is crashing down on them, and for the first time, they are forced to sit with who they truly are. But you don't even have to lift a finger. You don't have to expose them, seek revenge, or force people to see the truth. Their own actions are doing that for you. This is what they never saw coming. They thought they had it all under control. They thought they had successfully rewritten the story, casting themselves as the hero and you as the problem. But karma is patient, and karma never forgets. Now, the tables have turned. The one they tried to discard is the one they can't stop thinking about. The one they assumed would beg is the one who walked away without looking back. The one they thought they had broken is the one who rose stronger than ever. And that is eating them alive. Because here's the truth they never wanted to accept. They needed you more than you ever needed them. You were the one who brought value into their life. You were the one who gave them stability, understanding, and a level of love they never truly deserved. But they mistook your kindness for weakness. They assumed you were disposable. And now they are drowning in their own emptiness. They can put on a show. They can pretend they're unbothered. But inside, they are haunted by the realization that they lost something rare, that their power over you was never real to begin with, that their lies, their manipulations, their ability to twist reality only worked because you allowed them to. But once you walked away, once you stopped explaining yourself, once you refused to engage, the illusion shattered. They are no longer in control. And they feel it in every empty conversation, in every forced smile, in every desperate attempt to act like they've moved on, when, in reality, they're stuck. Stuck in a cycle they created, stuck in the same toxicity they tried to blame on you, stuck with the harsh truth that the power they once had, it's gone. They thought they were untouchable, thought they could do whatever they wanted without consequences. But now, as they sit in the mess of their own making, they are finally realizing the truth. They didn't destroy you. They destroyed themselves, and there's no coming back from that. Some losses can't be undone. Some people don't get second chances. And for them, losing you was the moment their world started falling apart. Number 12. Conclusion: your victory and their loss. They thought you would crumble. Instead, you became the one thing they could never control, unstoppable. Now, the tables have completely turned. The ones who once believed they had all the power are now the ones who are obsessed. They're the ones who can't stop watching, stalking, searching for any sign of you, hoping for some glimpse that might reconnect them to the version of you they once controlled. But the truth is clear. Nothing works. They replay old conversations in their mind, trying to pinpoint the exact moment they lost you. They dig through the past, sifting through memories like trying to find a lost treasure, but all they find is emptiness. The connection they thought was unbreakable is gone, and no amount of reflection will bring it back. They check your social media, hoping for signs of struggle, hoping to see that you are still reeling from the fallout, still crying over the relationship, still caught in the same toxic mess. But instead, all they find is someone happy, someone glowing, someone thriving. And that's what hurts them the most, because they expected you to suffer. They expected walking away would be the one thing that would break you. They thought they had that much control over you, that your life would fall apart without them, that you would never be able to move forward without their presence. But instead, you did something far worse to them. You elevated. You didn't just survive their chaos, you flourished. You didn't just get through it, you grew beyond it. They never imagined you would rise in ways they could never have foreseen. And that, my friend, is their loss. Because they wanted to own your energy, your attention, your love. They wanted to control you, make you depend on them, and use your presence as a source of validation. But now they are lost without you. The addiction is real. They crave your energy like a drug, your attention like a lifeline. They can't stop thinking about you, can't stop wishing for the days when they had you wrapped around their finger. They want to feel your presence again, hear your voice, have you look at them the way you once did. But that supply, it's gone. You've cut it off completely, and without it, they have nothing. They have to live with the uncomfortable truth that they can no longer manipulate you, no longer pull you back into their world, no longer feed off the energy that made them feel alive. And that feeling, that emptiness, is something they will carry forever. They wanted to leave you in their past, but the truth is, you never needed them to begin with. You were the one holding the power all along, and now that they've lost you, they're left scrambling for any way to reclaim what they can never have again. While they fall apart, you stand tall. While they struggle with their own consequences, you continue to rise. They never realized that by trying to control you, they were only pushing you toward your own freedom, toward your own victory. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to fight. You don't need to prove a point. Your success, your peace, your happiness, it speaks for itself. And that's the final blow to their fragile ego. They can't touch you now. They can't reach you now, because you've become something they will never be able to manipulate again. You've become untouchable. And that is the most powerful thing you could ever be. The victory is yours. The loss is theirs. They tried to break you, to trap you, to control you, and now they're left staring at the aftermath, haunted by the one truth they can never escape. You won. And just like that, the cycle is over. No more second chances, no more wasted energy, no more looking back. You've reclaimed your power, and now they're the ones left in the ruins of their own games. While they drown in regret, you rise in peace. They lost access to you, and that is their karma. If this message resonated with you, like this video, subscribe to spread this wisdom to more chosen ones, and drop the number 77 in the comments if you're never looking back. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, because the chosen ones always rise.